All right, we're back into it. We're going again. Sorry about that, everybody. There was a robotic attack from the robotic attackers.
Nailed it.
I was such a creative fellow. You should see the stories I write. All right, so Mr. Sandman, Mr. Andrew, I want to ask you a little bit about the defense. I feel like we are in pretty decent shape when we look at our cornerbacks. And I think we're doing okay in that place. You got Jerry, as long as that groin holds up. You got the ties and the Matrix thing are so funny together. You got Jerry and you got Amani Oruwariye, who you think are going to kind of pull it together, hopefully, as the year goes on. And that should be in good shape. The line, not great. You have a couple guys like maybe Romeo Okwara isn't back because of the Achilles, but Trey Flowers won't be back next year.
Yep.
You could probably get some edge guys. Maybe that's where your Tibbs comes in, right? I mean, how that works out and plays kind of a good fit and a need. But overall, how do you see the defense right now? Where's our strengths? Where's our weaknesses? And what do you think we need to do there?
I think we're definitely better than I thought we would be at the beginning of the year. I looked at this roster and I saw no talent. This was an awful roster, top to bottom. Defensively, it was a disaster. We had a bunch of guys that didn't fit anywhere, all sorts of problems. And to the staff's credit and to the players' credit, a lot of these guys have made transitions and have adjusted and found rhythm. Like you said, our cornerbacks are playing out of their minds for what they are draft position wise. Yeah. Let me say that.
And besides that, even though, I would say they're NFL quality cornerbacks, and one's a damn rookie. No matter what his draft position is, you don't expect much out of a rookie. And what we're seeing with Jerry, again, this isn't me just loving on our guy, but he's playing like he's 2 or 3 years in the league. He's playing with way more ability and experience than I don't, and this is not I'm not trying to make it a knock comparatively, but he's playing better than Okudah did his first year.
Oh yeah. And I think, to be fair, Okudah was in a bad spot. He was playing in a horrible defense.
Exactly,
and I guess we'll see what happens, how he comes back from his injury.
Yeah.
But honestly, like linebackers still in need. I think Reeves-Maben has been playing well in his position. I don't know if he's played well enough, but I think he'll be back for sure. But we definitely need an edge guy. I think that's where we have to go with the number 1 overall pick. Mm-hmm. We have to. Mm-hmm. That's who the best player in the draft is. Thibodeau, or however you say his name, I think is, pretty clearly the number 1 guy, barring anything real nuts happening. And he'll fill a bunch of needs. We need a pass rusher. We need a guy who can play the run a little bit better, somebody who has speed to help contain the edge when needed. Right now, that's a big problem for us. We don't get sacks. When we do get sacks, they're like cleanup sacks or, just something weird happen sacks.
I feel like if we had pressure, this whole defense would be like elevated.
Oh, for sure. For sure. There's whole teams right? that were ran off of that. The 2014 Lions was 100%. We are going to stop the run on the way to getting to the quarterback. We're going to get pressure. And the secondary and our linebackers, everyone will benefit. Every single person.
We never had the secondary or that we do now. That's the thing that's killing me, right? It's like, I guess that's part of the salary cap and how it works. You don't never have all the toys, but you get but it's like, God, if we could put it together, and it feels like we're like 1 or 2 guys, maybe a linebacker and an edge away from putting that stop the run on the way to the quarterback, and then you have the guys that can cover, and all of a sudden this defense is fire from just last year, right? When it was what's the opposite of fire? Water, right? it was crap, right? It was garbage, and then and you think about how many levels of depth we are. Gilbert was playing today; he punched the ball out, right? These guys, true believers to the last one of them, right? Just incredible play out of them.
No, and I think that's the benefit. We talked earlier in the year about how this was going to be a great thing for a lot of these rookies because they're going to get play time that normally they wouldn't on a standard team, and they're getting it. And I think that those guys, their souls haven't been crushed yet. They haven't been stomped down. So they, will continue to play hard. This is their chance. They're still showing that they're NFL players. And I think that there's a value to that. And we're kind of reaping some of that right now where these guys aren't giving up, like the fumble by number 40, I forget his name, where he missed the tackle, gave up a horrible catch.
Gilbert
ran back. Gilbert
yep.
came back, made the play at the end because he hustled. He played hard. I mean, that's what you want. That's what you want out of these guys. And that's how you make teams in the NFL. And I think that, sadly, with the preseason the way it is now and how the NFL kind of works, there's a lot of guys that maybe don't get those opportunities, and maybe we'll get to see some late round undrafted gems from the Lions because of this.
I have to just really quick in the chat, Don H. I just came back from a Steeler podcast when you were down there for a minute. Holy cow, are those guys having a meltdown? I hadn't even contemplated. Oh my God. Can you imagine? Seriously, if you're a Steeler fan having watched that show against the Lions, you'd be, if you were, maybe we should post a suicide hotline in that subreddit just to be sure we can help some folks out.
I feel like welcome to the club. Here we are. Like, join us. Did you? I feel like a member of the hotel in The Shining. Like, come on in. Go freeze outside for a bit.
That got
we'll
dark really fast.
Yeah.
Wow. That went to a dark place. How about did you want to punch any faces when you heard the announcers talking about the bad calls? And they should have gone against the Steelers have been really messed up by a couple of calls that I'm like,
honestly, I think some of the calls were bad.
Yeah.
I just hate NFL referees in general, whether it's good for us or bad for us. I just, they're the worst.
There's some really, really bad calls in the last couple weeks to the point where they're worse. Like we'll just say this year, but the last weeks have been like a kind of even more bad, if you will.
Yeah.
The Thursday night game, right? Oh my God.
Woof.
It's like, I hate to say this. They let Vegas in. They got a Vegas team. And now.
Going there.
Yeah. Yeah. God. It just looks bad, right? And the industry that I'm in, when they talk about compliance, being out of compliance is not just doing something that's out of compliance. It's doing something that could have the appearance of being out of compliance, right? You don't even look bad, right? There's you stop not at the line, well before the line. And I just don't feel like that's what's happening here. It just looks so dodgy. That game Thursday was embarrassingly bad. Wow. Oh, I can turn into Robert Stack. Hold on. It's the closest I have. I don't know. Oh my God, you got me with that one.
Honestly, I've kind of felt that way for a while that, people say like, oh, football is too big of a game. It's like, it's too hard for referees to impact. Like, no, it's not. It's not hard for referees to impact. I don't think, the games are being fixed per se, but I think that referees know that they have a very large impact. And
and what was it in the NBA when that happened, right? It was playing for the spread. It wasn't even playing wins or losses. So you could call a foul or two and affect the spread, and you didn't affect the outcome of the game. So nobody was really super worried about that, right?
Yep.
God, I hate that whole concept. I hate that whole concept. There's no excuse. Like, if they really cared about a lot of this, of like the ball placement, right? We saw with, what was it? Pollard was his last name, Mark, from the zebra.
Yeah,
you're hiding.
No,
you don't want the Bob to see your face.
I'm looking. I'm trying to see how the ref sees the field.
Oh, from Zebra Technologies with the at the Senior Bowl, which I think is going to be exceptionally interesting this year. We might get some Dan Campbell interviews out of it. But the whole idea of the technology, putting a chip in the ball, right? They can totally do that. To laser guide where the ball is on the field and where to spot it, they could do that. The chains are such an old chunk of technology. We asked Blandino about it on the St. Jude thing, and he was like, well, it's kind of like a tradition. It's like, that's not a good answer. You know, there was this long tradition of not having earpieces in the referee's ears or connecting them to New York. You know what I mean? Where they the shot collar, right? I don't know, man. I don't know. There's something. Let's see. The league is not rigged. We would have had a Manning versus Manning Super Bowl, but there is influence. All the crap against the Lions is against the teams the NFL has a financial interest in winning. Yeah, there's something special about the Lions, and every team. Like I hear like fans of teams say, "Oh yeah, we always get hosed." That when we were at the Rams game. The one, I don't remember, the one lady that was standing next to me for a while there, she was talking to me. She's like, oh, God, the Rams, we get hurt so bad. I'm like, do you know, have you heard of the Lions? Like, they think that they get hosed, right? But I just, there's a unique place. They talked about, oh, yeah, the Lions and the overtime kick from Tucker that shouldn't have happened. But anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Robber. Yeah.
That was Mike that just came up, right? Was it Mike that just showed up on the and the thing for St. Jude? Mike, I want to make sure I get this right because it's important. It's important to you. It's important to me. $20 just came in from Mike from Oregon. Mike, thank you so much.
Best.
Great job. Always look forward to the podcast. I got a couple of the other ones. Sandman, let's kick this goal harder than Santoso. I didn't see that. Sorry. Ken, not sure how I feel. Thank you. And Flounder, Goff is terrible. Lions fans are amazing. Dang straight. 28,279 for our St. Jude friends. Thank you, everybody, for helping out. All right. Anything else you want to close out on? You can't talk about Goff, though.
Ooh.
How about this? Talk about Goff without talking about Goff.
I think our wide receivers are open more than they appear.
16 tie and 100 yards passing.
Yeah, I think the one thing that may not go underneath the radar here, but Dan Campbell calling plays, I think, is very, very important because it shows that he knows that some things aren't working and he's willing to try to change some things. I'm concerned because some of the things that we all see that need to be changed are not going to be changed. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But I think he plays for the win. You have to appreciate that. He goes for it on fourth down, maybe when he shouldn't, but he does. So if you're into that style of football, then he's fantastic for you. He trusts his guys to win. I'm not sure if we're going to get a really good sense out of what kind of coach he is this year. And I think that's the only real downside that we're going to have here. He made some boneheaded timeouts in overtime that we'll have to, maybe he addressed it in his press conference. I haven't listened to that yet. But you can tell he's still learning. Mm-hmm. I think this whole staff is still learning, but we can already tell that we're an upgrade over the Matt Patricia era and a few more pieces of talent and we'll be looking better. Upgrade
on the coaching, downgrade on the roster, I think is kind of where we're at there. Yep. And we're seeing the effects of that. Levi, talk about Campbell and his complete inability to manage a game.
It was rough.
He didn't do $90 more from Flounder. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, got to get us to the 69.
Yep. We're at 28,369.69. I just want to make sure really quick if there's a note with it. Got to get those. Now I can refresh it. Okay, while we do that. So about Campbell and his complete inability to manage the game. This is an interesting thought, Levi, and I'm going to what can I say? I'm going to say that there's a lot going on. Dan Campbell has, I don't know if you guys saw the story in Sports Illustrated or not. Dan Campbell, when he was with Miami, it was the end of the season when he was interim coaching, he was interviewing for that job. And he interviewed, but Anthony Lynn was also going to interview for that job. And Dan Campbell helped Anthony Lynn prep for that interview. Okay, even though they were kind of going against each other for the job, he helped him out. Why? And he didn't even think twice about it because he's a good person. That's how he operates, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's a smart guy. He coached that Miami team to a couple of wins, a couple of losses. They were a bad team. They fired their coach. He came in as an interim and did a decent job. He's got a lot on his plate right now. If you saw today, he was making play calls. Why was he making play calls? They talked a little bit about it. They didn't tell the story. They told a story on the on the broadcast today, but not the story. He's taken on a whole lot more responsibilities than he should, but by the same token, he's finding out what he has and what he doesn't have in talent on this team. And I think there's a lot to be said about who wound up having to call the plays for this team and the difference, right? I mean, the one thing I started calling him lately is Riverboat Dan because he is a gambler. And I think you said it completely on the dot. You nailed it. It's more important to get that win than to give a shit about losing again.
Yep.
I think
can't be afraid to lose in the process of winning.
Yep. And I don't think that that's the long-term Dan Campbell coach. I think that's the this year Dan Campbell coach with a shite roster, a bunch of guys he can't lose, and a culture that he wants to build and needs to build. And the reason he took on the extra roles and responsibilities that he did were because that's going to lead him in the direction and the buy-in that he needs from this team. I will tell you the other thing that I don't know if anyone saw this. Dan Campbell was down on the field before the game, head coach, right? Testing out the headsets. Now, you heard in the last couple of weeks there were some problems with the headsets and they weren't getting calls in and that kind of thing. Why the heck wasn't Anthony Lynn down there testing those headsets? If they were having problems with those, where was he? Why didn't he do that? And why did the head coach, when he took over those duties, why was he the one that went down there and did that? Because he wanted to make sure it was right. Couldn't kind of count on somebody else. I'll leave it at that. Okay. Yep. I think you're going to find that you're going to see some upgrades as the season goes on with some of the folks that are working for him. I think you're going to see a lot of really good folks stay because he's doing a lot of the right moves with the right people and handling it in a way. Look, it's a people business, right? He's handling it in a good way as well. So there's a lot more going on in building a team, especially a team like the Lions, and with the roster that the Lions have, than just going out there and handling managing the game. Let's put it that way. That's part of it. But there's a whole lot more on his plate that shouldn't be there. That's maybe making game management a little bit different and more difficult than it should be for any coach. So I kind of give him a little bit of a pass right now based on everything that we know is going on, and we'll go from there. Did I do that appropriately, Sam?
It was good.
Okay.
It was good.
Good. All right.
Chef
So, touche. That's the only French I had. Voulez-vous? Oh, never mind.
Baguette. Yeah.
So there you go. I think there's a lot of good stuff going on. Matthew, teams won today with a kicker we should have kept. Hey, good move, Dan. Matthew, I need you to go look up what a GM versus a head coach does, okay? See you later, buddy. All right, so with that, we'll call it a show. Wrap up today. We got our tie. We're not going to go 0 for 17. Win, I think there's still potential for wins on the calendar as we look ahead to where the team is. We got the Bears. The Browns have been choking out. I don't want to say I don't want to say it's at the Browns. I think there's potential for a winnable game there. They got just absolutely slaughtered by the Patriots today. The Bears and Vikings at home, I think, have the potential. The Broncos game is another one, and the Falcons game, there's potential. Will they win them all? No. Will they win one of them? I think at least one of them they're going to get a win, but they could win more than that. The season's not over. It's not necessarily true that we'll be winless yet, but as for now, we are not completely losing every game.
We're at least as good as the Steelers.
Yeah, we're exactly as good as the Steelers.
I mean, exactly.
I mean,
on today's time.
they're all on suicide watch, but hey, that's the way things are. They've got the Steelers toasters breaking out this week, and we'll see what happens. The Browns next week. They're away. That means I get to Andy again. Right?
Yeah, I'll be back.
All right. So
and maybe we'll have more robot voices next week for you guys.
Jersky wants the robot voices again. The kickers are bad. See, this is the thing. Santoso isn't a bad kicker. And he showed up in a game and kicked without problem earlier this year. Was what, 4 weeks ago? Mm-hmm. And without a single issue. He had, the extra point. It was wet. It was nasty out there. We didn't see anybody else kicking out there because nobody else was scoring. I guess we did see a couple of field goals out there. It was just a crappy day to be a kicker or a thrower or a catcher or a runner or a stopper or anyer. It was just a crappy day to play football, and it's one game and it's one set of data. I wouldn't throw Santoso out. He's a fine backup. Siebert, hopefully the hip gets better. We'll be back in. We'll be back in there. Yeah, Santoso didn't look like himself, Jim. I'll give you that. Just didn't look like himself. He when I saw him in camp that year, he was, Sandman, he was killing it.
He was the Jerry Jacobs of 2019 or whatever that was.
Yeah. He was. He really looked good. Oh well. All right. Well, that's our backup kicker. He didn't cost us the game. He didn't help. Man, he cost us the game. At one point, difference. Okay. All right, Sam, thanks a lot for joining us.
Absolutely.
Thanks for putting up.
I'll be back next week.
Difficulties. Thank you all for joining us, and we will be back on, I believe, Wednesday with the Riz this week, Friday with Tony Ortiz. We're all back on the schedule for all the shows. Thank you all for joining us. Also, this week we'll release all the best top clips from the St. Jude show, the interviews and the good stuff, and I'll do a montage of all the beans we ate. Just so you know, Riz was sick for like 3 days afterward as a result of all those beans, and the late night beans that put him down was great. It was good time stuff there. He was like first like red, like flushed like a tomato, then he was like white like a ghost, and like the sweat. Like I didn't think he was gonna make it. I didn't think he was gonna make the show.
I thought he would handle those beans just fine because he's the beanstalk. The tallest of men.
All right, don't forget about cbd.detroitlionspodcast.com, cbd.detroitlionspodcast.com. There's super duper deals going on there. They got bundles going on. They have active CBD, which is kind of like the old Delta 8, but it's legal. How about that in all 50 states?
Wow.
So check that out, cbd.detroitlionspodcast.com. Also, Amazon, get your gift season, your gift getting season started. Amazon.detroitlionspodcast.com. Get all your stuff there, and take care of the show by doing something you can do anyway. It doesn't cost you anything more. Amazon.detroitlionspodcast.com. And lastly, but not leastly, stjude.org/DLP. Thank you everybody today who donated. I mean, raised another 600 some bucks. We're at 28,369.69 for St. Jude Christmas for the kids. Thanks all for helping us out. And check out the auction. All kinds of autographed Lions merch and other merch available at auction.detroitlionspodcast.com. With that, don't forget about some Patreon, patreon.com/Detroit Lions podcast. We've got some of the greatest insider info and the Slack chat, and you get access when you become a donator on the Patreon. And
don't forget, if you're a Slack member, you get to watch Q put the smackdown on Ash.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be great.
The brawl in the parking lot.
The brawl in the hall. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at Sandman7773.
Ooh.
And at DET Lions Podcast. Hook us up, join us, listen to us, see us with our pants off. It's all good time, or with no pants on. It's a better way to put it. Give us a call via Skype, Detroit Lions Podcast, all one word, Detroit Lions Podcast, or call us on the Lions line at 929-33-LIONS, 929-335-4667. And be sure to go to DetroitLionsPodcast.com, subscribe to the podcast so we can pop up in your face automatically. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to see you next time on the Detroit Lions podcast. Remember, no pants, no toasters, no hot tubs, no problems. And thank you, Andy, because we're your Detroit Lions and Reddit connection.